Oh gosh, I'm tired already.
Uh-oh. We're just getting
Start-
started.
Starting webinar.
Just getting started, brah. Right.
Here we go.
Chat settings. Randy.
Randy, first in the chat.
Yeah, all right. What's up, Randy?
What's up, everybody?
Clarence, Art, Ashley, Alex, Joshua, Clarence again, Jason,
Jason.
Uwe, Randy, again, Josh Daniels. Dang it,
Oh,
too fast.
Xavier, Ricardo, Mike, Jay. Now I'm just making up names. Howdy doody. Where are you? Where are you calling in from, folks? Where are you calling in from? I'm calling in from Rochester, New York. 6 hours north of the city of New York, New York City, New York, of course. The halfway point of Syracuse and Buffalo, and about 90 minutes south of the Canadian border.
If you ever wanted to triangulate Rochester on a map, now you have the tools to do so.
You're welcome.
Hello, Lucy.
Hey guys. Hello.
Columbus,
Everybody
Ohio.
say hi to Lucy.
Make sure to change your settings, your chat settings, from hosts and panelists to everyone. Okay, guys, hosts and panelists over to everyone. Greens for Puerto Rico. Happy
Hi
birthday,
all.
London Burning. Getting some love in the chat section here.
Yes.
Love
Yeah,
the
Lucy.
You will be
song.
pleased to hear it's not going to be another one of my songs.
Dude, I'll mix your songs anytime, any day of the week.
Thanks, Jake.
Lucy, for those of you who don't know, Lucy is an incredible songwriter, artist. We just did the remix competition with her song London's Burning.
We did. It's
Killer.
really cool.
We're going to be announcing the winners tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Very exciting. We had a lot of submissions. It was really cool. And thank you for anybody that's in here that jumped on that. It was really cool.
Yeah, anybody here do the remix contest? Put a 1 in chat if you did. Oh, nice. Hey, there we
yeah.
go.
Nice.
Good luck.
Yes.
Looks like my email just went out, so we'll wait for some more people to filter in.
Yep, we're going to chit chat here for a good 5 minutes, 5 more minutes or so, to make sure everybody can come in and join us.
Who's first time on Fix a Mix? 1 in chat if it's your first time here.
Hey.
Oh,
wow.
Welcome.
Well, let's go two in chat if you've been here before. We'll do 3 in chat if you've been here to multiple. Mm. 4 if you're a student in the reverse engineer.
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
And 5.
I will be, says Yosa.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. And then we'll do a 5 if 5 if Jake is your favorite on the panel.
Well, don't play this
Just
game.
1 5.
There's nothing I like to do early on in a
1-5.
webinar than sow division amongst the panelists.
Always does this.
The chat wasn't moving that fast there, Jake.
Yeah.
I got to step it up.
I put a 5 in chat for you.
You did? Ah, my heart is full.
What's the shirt today, Jake?
Rick's gym. Any Rick and Morty fans?
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick and Morty. Does Michael even do emails?
Did everybody get my ravens that I sent out?
Pickle Rick. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff out there.
Who submitted for the Fix the Mix feature this time around? Anybody submit a track to be? We haven't announced which one we're doing, have we?
No, we have not.
Oh, very exciting.
I see a few of the finalists' names in here. But we have not announced yet.
How did you guys like being able to submit for that? Do you feel like this is something we should do again in the future? Or do you guys like it when we pick the tracks? Because here's the thing, for everybody who submits, there's going to be one very happy person and then a lot of people that are disappointed that they didn't get picked. So I'm happy to keep doing it as long as everybody's patient and doesn't get sad. I obviously wish we could pick everybody, but we physically cannot.
Yeah, I thought that too. Angie said it was great to see other people's music.
Yeah.
I just loved hearing all the submissions and like all the different genres, all the different skill levels, all the different ideas and tastes that are within this community, and like just kind of pulling all of that together. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking too, that thread where everybody submitted, that's a great place to just for everyone here to kind of go through and see what kind of music everybody's making and start reaching out and networking with some people that, you know, if you like their music and stuff, it's a great resource for you to go and kind of get a snapshot of everybody's music. I didn't even think of that until people started posting it. And then I was like, oh, this is actually a great way for people to introduce themselves.
Yeah, we've done Larry, I think we have done a couple hip hop so far. We'll definitely get some more in here.
A couple more minutes here. Jake Scott is an audiobook narrator and producer. Will your strategies help with single voice EQing and mastering?
Yes.
Yep.
It's a short answer.
If it's audio, then the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Oh, let's post the school group. Is everybody in school? SKOOL. All right. Let me get the same link. Give me a sec. If you are looking to access the replays after this event is over, you have to join our school group. It's completely free. It's just a place where we post the replays and where you guys can reach out. And that's where we'll post things like having submissions for Fix the Mix and stuff like that. So if you're not in the school community, I just dropped the link there. Click that link, join the school community. Like I said, it's completely free, but that's where the replays and the recordings will be posted. Also, if we do any cool stuff like opening it up for submissions, that's where you'll get that kind of news. So if you didn't see that this time around, it's probably because you're not in that group. So go ahead, click that link and join. I'll push through anybody who's requesting access.
Super cool. So Christmas decorations before or after Thanksgiving?
What date is Thanksgiving for you guys again?
20 something.
We put up the tree yesterday.
Did
Shut
you?
up. No, you did not.
One of those guys, huh?
Oh,
I
man.
was going to this weekend, but I think next weekend.
Melanie made a
I
really
love
good
Christmas.
point.
Jake, I'm surprised by you.
You know, my wife won't have it. She just won't have it. She
Melanie,
won't. No Christmas decorations or Christmas themed anything until after Thanksgiving.
we were feeling kind of
rule.
gloomy about the time change. And so Melanie was like, this would be a perfect time for us to lean into the holiday stuff because it'll at least make us
Agreed.
feel like we're in a new season. And I thought that was really, usually I wouldn't decorate that early, but I was like, it getting dark at 4:30 is really
It's 4
messing with
o'clock
me.
now and it's getting dark. So
Yeah.
I'm with you, Michael.
Yeah. Break the tree up.
Emma says
the
hard
tree out.
agree. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Jake, I feel sad for you. I know how much you love Christmas.
I have White Christmas like playing in the background, the movie, like all day, every day. I just turn it on repeat.
Back in my bachelor days, I used to just leave the Christmas tree up year round because I didn't feel like taking it down. It was nice.
So somebody says I leave my Jack Skellington decorations up and just add a Santa hat. That's great.
I
First
know a
of
lot
all,
of people do that actually.
well done. Secondly, we did something very similar in our home. My wife and our daughter Riley were out at the dollar store, and Riley says, "Mom, we need to buy this thing." Right? She points at this like plastic shark, but it's just the bones of the shark, right? So it's a skeleton of a shark, and we hung it above our dining room table. We call it the Shark Delir, and we put lights on it. And I think we're just gonna have it there all year long and just decorate it in different ways.
Perfect. Little bunny ears at Easter.
Yeah, exactly. A little Christmas hat on it. Just change the color of the lights on it.
Perfect.
Well, who's ready to get started? Should we jump in?
Give us a 23,467 in the chat if you're ready to get started with this month's Fix the Mix.
Dang,
Wow.
Awesome.
they're quick with it.
Yeah, you guys are great. Pew, pew, pew. All right, Caleb.
Get going then.
Cheers. Take it away.
Well, I'd like to officially welcome you all to our November Fix the Mix challenge. We usually do one of these every month. If you're new, welcome in. A lot of you have been here with us for many months before, and welcome back to all of you. We love doing these. We're excited, and we also love to see so many people showing up. You're trying to get better. You're trying to improve. You're taking some time out of your week for growth. I love that. And so, tip of the hat to all of you who showed up, just wanting to get better. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being an awesome group so far in the chat, being good to each other. That's what it's all about. We're just trying to have a good time and all get better together. All right. Introductions. My name's Caleb Lovelace. I'm the Director of Education for Mastering.com. We have Mr. Jake Codeweiss here. He's going to be doing a lot of our demonstrations this week. Jake got signed to a major record deal right out of high school, and he's been on a tear ever since, whether it's in touring the country, working with major artists or brands, or doing licensing music. He started to get into licensing music a little later on. He's placed over 1,200 tracks in all sorts of different movies and TV shows and commercials and what have you. Very talented producer, artist, and mix engineer. We also have Michael Gilbride. He's the general manager of Mastering.com. He's the one sending out all the texts and emails. He's the reason you're here. He's the guy behind the scenes putting this all together for you beautiful people to come to hang out with us. So thank you, Michael, for everything you do to make these events happen.
Thank
And
you.
then we have Lucy War with us today. She's our student success specialist. She's awesome in our groups in our school platform. She's the one helping students progress along in our official reverse engineer program. But we wanted to have her on today to hang out with us and to get a different perspective on things too. We're just so thankful for her and all the work she does for our students. Welcome, Lucy. She's an incredible artist. If you haven't heard her music before, look her up. We did one of her tracks. Was it last time or when was
September,
it?
wasn't it?
September. And it was beautiful. She's incredibly talented, incredible voice, incredible songwriter, and her songs are blowing up. She's doing great. We're really proud to have her on the team.
Thanks, Caleb.
So that's us. If you wanted to know a little bit about who we are, who are these people sitting in front of you today, that's a little about who we are. Just a couple housekeeping items. Make sure that you go into your chat settings and you default to have hosts and panelists on. So when you type into the chat, only us four can read it, and that's not very fun. So go ahead and set that to everyone. That way you can interact with everybody in chat. And then again, make sure, and I'll have Michael put the link in there again, make sure that you're in the school group. It's a free group. There's no catch. It's just a community for you to join and interact with people. And it's also where we post the replays for these. So if you have to leave or if you can't make one of the days, that's where you can watch the replays. And also just interact with people, have a sense of community. You don't have to be on an island anymore. So come join. That's all free. Also want to thank our sponsor for this month's Fix the Mix, Mastering the Mix. They make incredible plugins. You definitely want to check them out. We've used their stuff before. We think it's fantastic. We only partner with people that we really respect what they do and use their whatever it be, whether it's hardware, software. We only want to work with people that we like what they're doing. They're a good cultural fit for us. So check out Mastering the Mix, and thankful for them sponsoring this. So this could be free for all of you to come and hang out with us all week.
Keep it free.
Keep it free. Overview for the next 3 days. We're going to have these sessions be about 2 to 3 hours per day. We're going to talk about mixing philosophy. We're going to give you some demonstrations and then an opportunity for you to put it all into action. And we'll give you some action items to go away with. And it's pretty straightforward. So we'll start with me giving a little presentation of things to focus on while Jake does the demonstration. So we're going to tell you what big picture stuff to focus on, and then we're going to demonstrate it just live for you all as we mix through the entire week. What's fun about this challenge? Well, we aren't going to hold back. If you know anything about our company, we don't hold anything back. We're not one of those that, you know, the good stuff is behind a paywall. We have 10-hour compression videos and EQ videos and reverb videos on our YouTube channel. We try to give you a ton of information, good information. We try to cut through the noise. We're not into tips and tricks and templates and presets. We're about good old-fashioned hard work and the actual stuff that can move the needle for you. So we won't hold back. If you have any questions, just post them in the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can as we go through. There's no dumb questions. There's no there's nothing that will bother us as long as it's about music and it's kind. We'll definitely answer it. You're also going to watch a ton of valuable demonstration. We're not just going to tell you, we're going to show you. So we're going to actually mix a song front to back through the week, and we'll show you every step of the process. And you get to engage and ask questions. Again, ask questions of each other. You can help each other. You can do that both here in the chat within Zoom. You can also do that in the school group. Keep asking questions. If you don't ask it, we can't answer it. So definitely be one of the people that ask the questions if you have them. And then just being a part of a like-minded community. I think as things have evolved in the music industry, especially for the at-home producer, sometimes you can feel a little bit like you're on an island, that you don't have as many connections. We want to build community here. So we don't want to be an island anymore. We want to get together and be a part of a like-minded community. That's why we host that school group for you all, and hope you enjoy that.
Caleb, one more thing too. If everybody can, if you have a quick second, go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram as well. That's been something that we've been trying to get a lot more engaged with. And if you guys like having these for free and having cool sponsors and giveaways and stuff, the more engagement we have on our Instagram, the easier it is for me to go to cool companies like Mastering the Mix and other places and say, hey, give our students a bunch of free stuff because they'll be customers for you guys. So if you can, give us a follow. It's at mastering.com. So it's mastering.com without the dot. And if you could give us a follow, or if you're enjoying the challenge today and you want to snap a picture and share it on your story, share it with a friend, let people know. The more that we can do for free, the more cool stuff I can hook you guys up with. So
it's true. And we have those contests we've just started. That's not going to be the last one. We've done one so far. These remix contests, we're going to do more of those pretty often. So you'll definitely want to get in there. We give cool prizes away for remixes, you know, just the fun stuff. Everyone likes doing that stuff. So hop in there. Definitely join our Instagram. What's tricky about the challenge? Well, it's only 3 days. So can we teach you everything about mixing and mastering in 3 days? Of course not. That would be an unrealistic expectation, but can we move the needle a bunch? Of course we can. We can focus on the big picture stuff. What that means is we just need to focus a little bit on some major items, some major philosophies, not get too bogged down in little stuff. So we're not going to dive too deep on, every feature of every plugin that's used or anything like that. That's all Googleable. We're going to talk about bigger picture stuff because that's what we can actually focus on for 3 days and have it be meaningful. So don't get hung up on the small stuff. And if you're at a more beginner level, some of the stuff might be over your head and you might start feeling like you're confused. Don't give up. Pull out a piece of paper or a document on your computer and start just writing down the questions you have. We'll try to answer as many as we can in the community and in the chat, but a lot of it is stuff we don't have time to get into because we're focused on bigger picture stuff. But if you write down these questions, most of them will be Googleable, and we'll get, I just think that's a great way to stay engaged without feeling overwhelmed. Just get as much as you can out of it. It's not about perfection yet. It's just about progress. And that is something that's important to just acknowledge. If you're more intermediate and advanced level, maybe you'll still have some of that same some of these types of questions come up, write those down too, but also help each other in the chat. If you notice someone has a question and we don't get to it, help them out. Everyone's at a different level and that's okay. We want to make an inclusive, safe space for whatever skill level you're at. In addition to better learning how to mix, this is a mix challenge. We're also going to teach you to think like a mastering engineer. And this will become more meaningful and more valuable to you as we go through the week. But there are some things about mastering that actually can inform and give insight to your mixes. And at mastering.com, obviously, we do teach mastering to people as well as other things. And we've gained a valuable insight about what those things you can focus on are, how they can push back on your mixes, make them better. And so we'd be remiss if we didn't have or take the opportunity to give you some of that mastering mindset, something that you might not get a lot of different places, but can give you a keen insight into your mixes and even your productions and the way you capture things that will be really meaningful for you. So we are going to take some time to also teach you a bit about mastering, and probably on day 3, we'll actually master this track when it's done as well. So you get to see that process. Why do we do that? Well, most people learn in a linear fashion from production to mixing and maybe someday mastering. So for a lot of you, you may have had a instrument that you played growing up, or you had a good voice and you started to make music, and that's wonderful. And maybe later you started to get into production. So you got a DAW, you started making beats or recording some guitars or drums or whatever else it is and started to produce your tracks. And then eventually realized, well, these don't sound great yet, so I better learn mixing. That's maybe even why you're here. And mixing is a great thing to learn. It helps you get better at your productions. And then most of you probably never learned mastering. You're probably just using some AI tool or Isotope or whatever else it is, and that's fine. Except I think you're shooting yourselves in your foot in a way, because we've been training mastering engineers for many years now. And we started to teach even producers and mix engineers how to master. They would come to us to learn. And there was something really valuable that they started to say to us that taught us about what we were teaching even. They would come to us and they'd learn mastering, and they would say something like, "This is wonderful. I'm learning mastering. This is incredible. I've always wanted to learn it. My stuff's sounding great. But there's something else happening that's very valuable for me." They would say this, and they would say, "I feel like through the process of learning mastering, my mixing is getting better. And even my production and the way I'm capturing things is getting better." And what we realized over time is that through the process of learning mastering, you use a different part of your brain that isn't the creative part as much, but it's the technical part that a lot of people skip over. But that, if you learn, fills in the gaps and actually unlocks more creativity over time. So there's a perspective, an end in mind perspective that comes, but also a technical foundation that can, even for people that had been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, it was filling in the gaps for them and making them better what they do. It's easy to skip over that technical stuff for the more creative, fun parts. But what the technical can do for you, if you dive deep enough into it, is actually unlock more creativity and more ability to express the ideas you have in your head to come out of the speakers the way you hear them. And that's what's beautiful about it. So again, we'd be remiss if we didn't give you some of that through the next 3 days. All right. Without further ado, we want to show you and announce the mix we picked to fix. Say that 10 times fast.
I can't even do it once.
Okay. Well, that's a whole different thing.
I screwed it up already.
Jake, I want to hand it over to you. I want you to show us the mix we're going to spend the week fixing, and then I'll take it back.
Yes. Cool. Drum roll. Drum roll, please. Thanks, Lucy.
That's good.
Got you guys.
Like a hybrid doggy paddle drum roll.
Otter-esque. Yeah, there's something otter-y about it.
Yeah, congratulations to Tristan Dolan, who submitted
Ooh.
this track.
Tristan.
A little bit of love in the chat for Tristan. Tristan, you here? I thought I saw your name in here.
Show your face, Tristan.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. He says, cool. Yeah.
Everybody say congrats to Tristan. That's like a big win.
Yeah.
We should all
Congrats.
support each other here. Maybe you're next time, but today's Tristan Day. There we go. Look how supportive you guys are the best.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Great track. This is a track called Panic. And we're going to open it up right now. Let's see what we got here. Host, can you give me screen share, please?
Better. Yep, you bet. Go ahead.
Stick. And now I have the DAW on the screen. You guys should be able to see that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, got it. Sweet. Awesome possum. So I've actually got this all kind of organized. Went ahead and organized all of this morning. Just going to take a listen. Take a listen to the track. This is how I pulled the tracks into this session. Okay, so I haven't done any volume balancing except for these two dry vocal tracks here, because they're in like this. You know, you can see how much louder they are compared to everything else, right? So I did actually turn those down just a little bit, but everything else is just at unity. All faders at unity here. Right, so let's just play through and take some notes about what you're hearing inside of this mix as we just kind of do a playthrough here.
Jake, one note I was going to make too. Usually these tracks are some anonymous person or somebody that we picked, but because Tristan is here, obviously just keep an extra mindset on like keep any feedback that you give constructive and helpful, because the person who made this is someone's art. This is something that they care about. So keep it very constructive. Doesn't mean that we can't poke holes. That's what we're here to do, but like just keep it, positive.
That's right. That's what we're here to do. Let's go.
The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we would never go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There's no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling hypnotic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss.
Dude, that groove is so hot. Like how hard that snare actually hits. Now, obviously, we have some work to do with the track, right? In terms of the mixing. But well done, Tristan. Really, really enjoy this song. Great writing, great production, but there's some work to be done here.
To be
right?
due. And what work to be due we should do. What I want you to be thinking about, though, is we played that. What were you hearing? What were you hearing wrong that we need to fix?
Little mud. Mid-range is a bit congested, bit harsh in the
Vocal
highs.
hissing.
Some hissing somewhere. Snare is like loud and way up front, louder than everything else, basically, right? So volume, yep. Wow,
Some harshnesses,
got a lot of
distortion in the voice.
yep. Bass drum, can't really hear the kick drum, somebody said. Or kick too loud, bass needs to be tamed. Lots of stuff, right?
General volume problems, cymbals too harsh, needs glue. So it sounds pretty good, but definitely not totally polished for a major release, right? All right.
That's right.
This is the mix we're going to fix.
That's the mix. That's the mix we're going to fix. Congrats again, Tristan.
A little name drop there.
Well done.
Fix that mix.
Hey.
All right. Let's switch gears to mixing. What should we focus on today? We're going to break this up into 3 days, and we're going to focus on different things for the next 3 days. Today, it's about session prep, editing, and initial volume balance. Tomorrow, we're going to work on the instrumentals. We're going to work on their frequencies, dynamics, and getting space. So your reverbs, delays, any spatial processing. And then day 3 is all about vocals. We're going to spend a whole day just on vocals because they're a very important part of any mix that has vocals. You got to get those just right. That's where you make your money in this industry, is being able to really nail vocals. So we're going to spend a whole day on it, working on frequencies, dynamics, and space for just the vocal. Question is, how far should we on day 1? How far on day 1 should we be able to take this mix? How close to 100% should we be able to take it just on day 1 with session prep, editing, and initial volume balance? This is a mindset thing. This is important. What are they saying in chat?
Oh man, all kinds of stuff. I see all kinds of numbers here.
How far should you be able to take it with just session prep, editing, and initial volume balance?
And I see 75, 60, 80, 90. I see 50. I see 70.
Here's what I believe.
I don't see anything below 40.
That's good. That's positive. We're going to talk about the 80-20 rule. You ever heard of 80-20 rules? I think the 80-20 rule of mixing is that if you do session prep, editing, and the initial volume balance correctly, you should be able to get the mix 80% of the way there. Everything else are small, subtle things. They're still very important. It is the polish that you would want in that top 40 track. But you should be able to get it just with these tools 80% of the way there. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because how easy is it to open up a session like that, and there's 100 tracks in there or whatever else it is, and not only feel a little bit lost, but also just go in and start throwing compressors and EQ and everything and space on everything.
Yeah, just mangling that bad boy.
It's really easy to go do that and start there. That is not the way. Okay, this is not the way. There's a lot you can do with volume. In fact, volume is your most powerful tool. And the deeper you understand that power, the better you'll set yourself up for this 80% that we're going to do today. But also it's going to set the stage for all the frequencies, dynamics, and space work that you'll do over the next, for the next part of the mix. And for us in day 2 and day 3, it's going to create the right mindset for you. Okay. So that's why we're spending a whole day really on volume. We've already prepped the session. We might have to do some editing. I'm not sure what Jake's going to do, but mostly what we're going to focus on today is volume and show the power of that. So let's talk a little bit more about the volume, and also why these initial parts of the mixing process are so powerful. You have to compartmentalize your session prep and your editing. That has to be done and set up properly before it's not even really part of the mix phase per se. You're getting everything ready to mix. Okay. It's like if you're a chef, it's like chopping everything, getting everything laid out, getting everything measured out, so that when it comes to a hot pan, when it's time to cook and when things really matter, you have everything at your disposal, not to have to think about the preparation, but to just cook and make a delicious meal. Similarly, if you start mixing and then, 4 hours into it, you realize a bunch of editing or prep needed to be done, and then you have to, get out of the mixing mindset and start doing that stuff, it kills your whole flow. It is not the way. So really strong session prep and really strong editing is essential to get ready to enter into the mixing mindset and to move forward with that. And also realize that most of what you're dealing with here is just volume. And again, it is your most powerful tool. Why is that? Why is volume your most powerful tool in the mix? We have to think of mixing and what we're doing to a song. We have to think about it in 3 dimensions of space. So there's like a cube in front of us. There's like a stage that has dimensions of space. There's depth. Okay, it's a 3D cube. There's width. And there's height. And we have to paint in all these dimensions of space and utilize all of these dimensions of space to make a really great sounding mix. And the thing that affects depth, width, and height the most is volume. Let's talk about that. Volume actually is almost everything. We think of frequencies, okay, as being most altered by EQ a lot of times. But the reality is it's first and most successfully altered by volume. What do we mean by that? Well, as you're placing things in the mix, you have to realize that you're choosing the overall volume of the track just from where you place them in terms of volume. Shakers have an innate quality that's very high up, as you can imagine. Bass is very low. There's lots of stuff in the mid-range. And our ability to paint in that dimensions of space is very important. The listener hears things in that dimension of space. It's a visceral feeling that we have as listeners to a track. We feel bass, for example, down in our gut, in our connection to our feet to the floor. If we feel it reverberate up through us, it's a very low thing to us, and we experience it in our visual audio perceptory as being low down in the frequency spectrum. There's stuff in the mid-range, for example, also that's more warm or mid-range. We feel that usually in our chest or our heart. It feels like a warm blanket to us. And then we hear highs up in the air above us or in our head. So we have to paint in all that dimension of space if we want our mix to sound tall. You ever hear a mix that sounds big? It's because the mix engineer is painting in all the dimensions of space. You could turn then this on its side and you think of it just like an EQ, and the volume faders then become your EQ curves. How much high do I need? What instruments possess those qualities? How much mid do I need? What instruments possess those qualities? And the same for bass. Before I ever open an EQ, I'm painting with volume. And getting that just right gets you 80% of the way there. Width certainly is most altered by volume. There's a reason the pan knob is put traditionally right on your volume fader, right above it. Because all it really is doing is changing the volume from left to right and right to left. You're taking energy or volume away from one side and putting into the other. And we have this entire spectrum of width to paint in, that if we want to have it sound wide and big, we need to utilize all that area within the stereo spectrum. That's not always the move. Sometimes we want things to sound narrow, but for the most part, we want the listener to have an immersive experience, both in height, width, and depth. So we're going to use panning. Panning is part of volume. And then depth is most altered by volume. That's the easiest one to kind of understand. Things that are quieter sound farther away. Things that are louder sound closer. And that is another dimension of space, actually one that people struggle with almost the most. Everything sometimes in a mix, it's really easy to just kind of creep every instrument up over time to where they're all just coming at you at the same time. There's no depth.
Push it all up.
Mix, right?
That was me. That was absolutely me. I just want everything up. And then all of a sudden, like, you start to get that ear fatigue, and then the next thing goes up, and then this other thing over here goes up, and the other thing over here, and everything just gets louder and louder and louder in perpetuity.
It's just an easy thing to do. The way our ears work and the way that we get used to sound and the way that they fatigue, it's easy to just start pushing everything up. It's a problem I see almost more than anything else. Certainly frequencies is an important concept to understand. Most people get width, but depth, if you're lacking depth in your mix, it's because you're not thinking in this 3D perception of space that the listener is listening to. So let's talk about how we can do that today. We're going to add more depth. And certainly that's just gain in volume. Things that are quieter sound further away. Things that are louder sound closer. And I'll even talk to you this week later on. We won't talk about it today too much. You think of dynamics being mostly controlled by your compressors and your limiters and your clippers and whatever else. We're going to show you that when it comes to things that matter, maybe vocals, some other guitar parts or solos or anything that's really in the limelight, dynamics can be most influenced actually by volume. And they should be. What we're going to talk about a lot this week is intention. It's really easy to have the algorithms and plugins or your hardware make choices for you and end up with a sterile, static mix. We have to be much more intentional in all these phases if we want our stuff to have the life and tell the story. That's what I talk to my students about a lot, telling the story of the mix. You don't want your compressors and your EQs and everything making those choices for you all the time. Sometimes we need to paint with our ears and our subjectivity the story that's being told. And so I want to free you up from having your compressors and your limiters and clippers make all of your dynamics choices for you. There's a better way, and it's one we have to learn. So our main goal today, volume only mixing. We're not going to use any plugins.
Oh,
We're going to see if we can get it 80% of the way there just with volume. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be 80% of the way there or close to that. That's the goal anyway. And it's kind of a fun game to play. I love the compartmentalization of this way of mixing. It's like you challenge yourself. How close to like a top 40 sound or a great sound can I get this just with my volume and thinking in these dimensions of space? It's a beautiful way to approach it. That's what we're going to focus on today. So without further ado, let's have Jake do exactly that. Thank you for your time and listening to me. I'm going to just be here answering your questions as we watch Jake work.
unless you guys don't want to do that. Who wants to go? Who wants to move on? Give me a 24 in the chat if you're ready to go.
Hera asked a great question. He or she said, how important is your room and your ears to this process?
Great question.
Very important. I didn't mention it. I usually do in day one, but one of the things we're all facing as we do this challenge is that we're hearing things differently. We all have different headphones. We all have different speakers. We all have different rooms, and rooms and speakers can really play tricks on sound accuracy. There's room modes, there's reflection points, there's all sorts of things, decay times that can cause the sound in your room to be totally off from what it actually is in terms of the energy. You could be in your listening position, for example. I've seen 15, even 18 dB of frequency inaccuracy at certain frequencies. So say 100 hertz. Imagine if you're trying to mix a song and your 100 hertz is 15 dB off of accurate.
Yeah, dude. If you're sitting if you're sitting in a room mode, that's just like you've got 100 hertz just basically disappears in your listening position. You just can't hear it.
That's why when our students come into our main education program, our 2-year course, the first thing we do before we ever teach them to do any mixing or mastering or anything is get their room correct and their ears starting to train in that new room.
That's right.
It's that important. So Hera, very good question.
Cool. Let's jump in. I saw a lot of 24s earlier, so we'll just get moving.
Drew
Here's what
says,
we got.
Drew says, I sit in room modes because I like the challenge.
Okay. You can keep the challenge. I'll leave the challenge to you then. Dude, these tracks, this is very well produced. I really like it. You know, we have some work to do on the vocals for sure. But just to kind of walk you through what I got going on here, I'll give you a walkthrough of the session, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of the setup. We'll do some gain staging, and then we'll jump right into volume balancing. Okay. So first, here's what we got. We'll start with the walkthrough. We got some drums here. You know, we got kicks, we got snares, toms, hi-hats, crash, right? That's a drum set. And those are all bussed together, a single bus. Then we've got some Perkin effects. So we've got a cymbal swell here, a tambourine, a couple tambourines, and that's it for Perkin effects. Those 3 tracks are bussed together to a single bus. We've got 2 bass tracks, a clean bass, and we have a dirty bass. So that gives us independent control over kind of each one of those tracks, which is nice. And then we're gonna bust that together to a single track. Then we have about 40,000 guitars here. Okay, check this out. Look at all these guitar tracks. This is gonna be fun.
You can always tell who was what instrument the artist played first.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh yeah, somebody corrected me. 50,000. Sorry, I miscounted. And all of those are sent to a single guitar bus. We'll probably, nest those a little bit differently as we go through the mix and we kind of discover a few things and we get to know the session. We've got some synths and pianos and keyboard stuff happening here, some string instruments. I've got all of those bussed together to a single bus called keys, the keys bus. And then I've got some vocal tracks here. We've got our lead vocals. Anything that says LV is a lead vocal. Anything that says DT is a double take. And then we've got, yep, that's it. Just lead vocals and doubles all bussed together to our vocal folder. And then I've got a VFX folder. That's vocal effects, right? These are all of the cool, like vocal atmosphere effects, like throws, some delays, some reverb affected vocals. There are some formant shifted vocals and pitch shifted vocals that are like down the octave. Some of them are up the octave. Just really cool kind of things just peppered throughout this mix as a little bit of ear candy, just kind of filling the gaps and improving listener engagement as the song kind of moves forward, right? So all of these things are sent to a bus called VFX. And then I've got the rough mix here just for reference. Okay. That is the lay of the land. Pretty straightforward. Any questions about any of that stuff so far before we move on? No? Pretty good. Julio says no. Let's 24. Sweet. Cool. What's a bus? If you, that's a YouTubeable thing. So if you just like type in YouTube, busing or routing for audio, that's going to pop up in like very, very abbreviated definition is when you route the output of all of these tracks to one single stereo track. Right. And there's some terminology that kind of gets used kind of strangely there, right? A bus is technically not this track. This track is technically an auxiliary track, but we just the terminology that we use is kind of sometimes synonymous, right? Or groups, yep, that's another one, right? But the reason we do that is to just group similar sounding instruments together. Then you can process that bus independently of all those other tracks, right? That's a deep dive though. YouTube that one, Google that one. You can go down the rabbit hole there. Yes, and then someone asks, but then won't any effects you apply, or you add to a bus apply to all the individual tracks? That's correct. Yep. That is correct. And that's why we use buses, you know, so we can affect these big groups of tracks all at the same time. Right.
And just organizationally, I think it just makes our brain work.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I always think of mixing in a way, or the whole process, taking a whole bunch of sounds and slowly over time making them less and less and less and less. So we're going to treat all the individual stuff, but over time I'm only thinking about maybe 10 things or 6 things, and then eventually in the master I'm thinking about one thing. And that's the kind of the mindset.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Let's move on. So what I'm going to do to kind of set up this session is I want to do a little bit of gain staging here. And the goal is to get each and every one of these tracks, while the fader's at 0, every one of those tracks sitting in what we call the sweet spot. And that sweet spot, excuse me, gain staging, sweet spot. That sweet spot between -20 and -10 decibels on average. Right? So the average signal level of each and every one of these tracks, with the fader sitting at 0, we want that to sit between -20 and -10 decibels on average. And this is just to give us enough headroom to work with. You know, once we start bringing in the volume of all these tracks, you know, if you don't gain stage them properly, you're going to start overloading the stereo out, or the master fader, or the mix bus, or whatever you call it. And it's going to create some gross distortions and things like that, right? So what I like to do is a little bit of a gain staging shortcut. I like to select all of the tracks and then use a normalize function to make sure nothing peaks over -10 decibels, right? So in Logic, this is located in functions, right here. Normalize region gain. And I want to affect all the individual regions so that they're peaking at -10. And peaking just means the loudest that the signal ever actually gets, right? So the loudest the signal ever gets on any of these will be -10 decibels. I'm going to hit apply.
This trick saved me so much time.
You see all the waveforms now? See how they're all at the same level? Remember those big fat chunky vocals we had? The verse and the chorus lead vocals? Well, they're all automatically. None of these tracks should be peaking above -10 now. Right?
Yep, this is gain. So this is not affecting our volume faders. This is just gain before it even hits our plugins or our volume strip.
Right.
Right, Kristen? It's like, say, I used to go through and do this manually on every track with the gain until I learned this trick. And then I went, wow, I can gain stage in 5 seconds as opposed to like 10, 15 minutes before.
Right.
A lot of DAWs have a similar feature, so if you're not Logic.
Nope. And this doesn't have any effect on the fader, right? It's just the waveform, the signal going into the channel from the top, right?
It doesn't work on MIDI tracks, Christina, but in a mix session, you shouldn't have MIDI tracks. MIDI tracks would indicate you're mixing in your production session, and you shouldn't do that. You got to compartmentalize each part of the process, and you have to commit. It's too easy if you're mixing in a production session to start going back and tweaking production. And then once again, it's just like not prepping your session correctly. It takes you out of the mixing mindset. Create a new mix session, pull in your audio tracks. It's just better for the mind. And then when you go to master it, don't master it in the mix session. Create a different session for that.
Yeah, there's a macro in Studio One for that. I don't know what it is or where it is, but.
And if you missed his settings, just go back and watch this replay.
Yep.
No worries.
Yeah, if you're not sure how to normalize tracks in your DAW, just do a YouTube search on it. And that's it. That's what I do to set up the session.
Yes,
Right?
all MIDI, all virtual instruments, everything should all be bounced down. We're committing. No more tweaking. Production is done. Now we're mixing.
Right. Right. You know, and some instruments like will trigger it differently too. Right? If you're using a MIDI instrument, there's a randomization algorithm that happens in some VSTs, right? So you know, if you program a snare hit, for example, the first time you run through it with the playhead, it might sound completely different than if you were to run through that same exact MIDI block another time or a different time.
Yep.
Right. So you're committing the audio, you're printing it, basically. Right.
Yep. For tutorials on how to bounce in every DAW down to audio files, just Google that.
Gotta goog. You gotta goog.
All right.
Cool. So now that we've got everything set up and gain staged, select everything, bring everything down to negative infinity, and then we'll start bringing things in one by one. What I like to do typically is start by choosing one or two priority elements and bring the fader to 0, right? Or unity, whatever you want to call it. And then mix everything else around it, right? That kind of keeps me in the place. If I can say, okay, my kick is going to sit at 0 and it's never going to go higher, never going to go lower, then that kind of prevents me from pushing everything louder. That phenomenon that we talked about a little bit earlier in the session, right? Wanting to push everything louder and louder and louder. I pick one or two anchor elements that stay like right as close to 0 as possible, and then I just move on, right? So it's a set it and forget it kind of deal. Yeah, this step is, you know, we are now out of the setup stage, we're out of gain staging, and we are into volume balancing. So let's get started. I'm just going to run the playhead and start to bring things in. Interesting. So we have a kick high there. Let's check out this kick low. That's the one I'm going to start with. Just start with that kick. Kick, snare, vocals. Is that too loud, by the way? Or is that a good volume? Is that okay? I know it's hard to tell right now since I don't have anything else in. Just keep me posted in the chat, guys. I'll keep an eye on it. Let me know. No, I might not even use that high, that kick high. I'm gonna bust these kicks together, and then I'm gonna bust these snares together. So that when I get a nice blend that I like, I can then just kind of process them as a whole. Let's get into a chorus and start bringing those vocals in.
Dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. No need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary bliss. Especially when my
Cool. Let's get those main guitars in there. I'm just thinking in term right now, guys. I'm just thinking in terms of like the big movers, you know, the instruments that really kind of swing the textural hammer of this song, right? It's pop rock, guys, right? So it's like big bombastic drums, nice punchy drums. That snare really kind of lays down the groove. It punches you right in the gut. And there's these nice massive guitars happening here, right?
no need to panic, I'm leaving us.
Yeah, vocals are definitely pre-processed for sure. I mean, you take a look at these, this is a solid square basically of vocals. Tristan, I don't know if you're still in the session, if you have these vocals without the like dynamics processing on them. I'd love to get my hands on those. It'd be a great demonstration. Not so much the tuning, like you can keep the tuning baked in. But any kind of like preamp saturation or like compression or anything like that, or limiting that you have baked into this track, if you can take that off and then send these over to me, you know, that'd be a really great opportunity for teaching demonstration. But if not, that's cool too. We can run with it as is.
No need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in.
So I'm grouping those guitars together. These main guitars here.
No need to,
I can kind of like have independent control of those.
no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary.
Great, just great writing.
No need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. No need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. My memories are tragic, temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in.
Cool. I love this, what you got going on this bass here.
No need to panic, I'm leaving us behind.
A lot of great stuff here. Sweet. What else do we have as like primary movers? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in terms of like the foundational elements here. You know, ultimately it's rock, right? So this is a pretty good foundation to kind of build on.
Don't need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling attacked with manic. Dealing with damage to my mind. Memories on.
Yeah, everything else is like decoration. This is great. Let's get that tambourine in there because it's like a driving element.
Don't need to panic. I'm leaving us behind.
There's that bounce. That's what I call the choo-choo train effect, right? Chicka, 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 just chugging along. That keeps up a really nice momentum and a nice drive.
Don't need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling attacked with manic. Dealing with damage to my mind.
Right? Without it, like we're not filling in all those subdivisions.
Don't need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling attacked with manic. Dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in.
Cool. Very cool. So now that I have kind of like these primary instruments in, now I'll just mix the song like from section to section and just make sure that we bring in all the tracks one by one. I like to kind of mix through it chronologically. Yeah, no reference at this point anyway. We'll check references after. I'm just kind of going by gut right now.
A lot of people get hung up on that. Just go with your gut during this phase. Just move forward. Don't get overthink, because we're going to compare this later to references and have all these objective ways we can get it totally dialed in. But for right now, you just move forward and just do what your gut says.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's do it. Such a cool part. Just like guitar stabs, you know? Really cool. I'm going to call these guitar stabs. I grouped them together. What is the what's the tempo on this, Tristan?
86.
86. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. And then we have a verse that hits right here. Yep. Cool. So I'm just going to mark this out as we kind of make our way through. There. Intro. And then we've got our first verse. Let's mix that intro.
Yeah, the almost always when you get tracks from a producer, there's going to be stuff baked into it. I almost never get a session that's totally raw. And if I have someone mix my stuff, I usually mix my own stuff, but if I had someone mix my stuff, I would send them a clean version of everything and a wet version of everything. And when I get stuff that way, I usually start with the wet, because that was the kind of the producer's intention. I'll usually use a clean vocal because I want to do those myself. They're really important and I want to have a lot more intentionality. And then if I ever need anything that I don't like that has stuff baked into it, I'll just go to the dry and then affect it. separately from that. But usually I try to go with the producer's vision on that, unless it's just sounds bad.
Yeah, agree. And that's exactly what Tristan did.
Yeah.
He sent me the wets, dries, and a rough mix. And I actually most of these are wets. The only thing that's a dry is the vocals, the lead vocals.
And we're gonna try to get those drier if you
And we're
have.
gonna try, yeah, we're gonna try and get them drier. But they don't have any like time-based effects on them right now. We'll try to get them without dynamics effects on them. So we have a little bit more control over those. But anyway, keep going here. Let's get that guitar slide in there. Yeah. Already sounding better, right?
Those pianos
Was that?
piano's actually treated pretty nicely already. It's not, piano's always muddy and it always muddies everything up. They did a pretty good job already.
Nah,
getting
that's
it
sitting
just
right up.
muddy.
Yeah, this is sitting right up at 801K, right?
That is not a common thing to get, but cool.
You know, and then we've got some content over there, obviously. But anyway. Yeah, well done. Well done there. And that's part of why this should be the 80%, right? If you're doing things properly in the production recording phase, right? There's going to be some element of tone shaping that happens in that phase that you need, right? That's part of sound selection. That's part of sound design. That's part of capturing sounds in a proper way. That's part of proper recording technique and proper sound selection, right?
Still plenty to fix, but it gets you on the right path.
That's right. Cool. Let's get that brass in there. A lot of masking happening there. Just taking a note of that to handle it with EQ once we get there. You know, for now, I'm going to just place it the best I can with just volume. That's it. I think that's all we have in that.
We'll talk about masking tomorrow. If you have questions about that, we're gonna do a deep dive on that tomorrow.
Oh, there's a vocal part here. It's really tasty vocal kind of texture in here, you know, foreshadowing the hook, basically, right?
There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic.
You know, I want like, of course, I want beefier guitars, right?
There's no need to panic.
See what we can do with that. Let's get this little lead in here towards the end. Almost there. Love that. then we've got little leads down here. I've labeled these twinkles and chimes. Let's see what they are. I'm gonna bust together the chimes. We're gonna start with the twinkles. Cool. All right, chimes. Hit them up. Very thought out, guitar licks here. Guitar parts, filling in all the gaps. Cool. Awesome. And then I just need a bio break before we hop into the verse. So we'll take a
5-minute
quick
break?
5. Yeah, take a quick 5. Bio break. Get your coffees refilled. Get your drinks. Yeah, get your donuts, Patrick. Yeah, exactly. We'll meet back here in 5. For this, I'm just gonna bring up a quick timer. Not just any timer, but my favorite timer. Lagoon! 5 minutes on the clock. See you back here in 5. We're going to continue with the verse and getting a volume balance for the rest of this track. Back soon. Time's up. What's up, guys? Ready to have a good break? Yeah. Ready to jump back in? I'm gonna jump right back into this thing. As long as you guys are cool with that. Yep. Got a lot to do here. Session today should be, might be another hour, hour and a half-ish. Let's go. Let's do it. Really great guitar tracking, dude. What did you do for guitars? I know you did, one's like a Gibson, probably Les Paul. The other one's like a single coil, some kind of single coil, right? Did you do amp sims or record real amps on this? Amp sims, DI. Yeah, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous sounding amp sim. What do we use here? Or sims? Which sims did you use? GTR and CLA. Yeah, they sound great. Well done. And then we've got some clean guitars that come in here. I'm going to bust those together and call them clean guitars. All these recorded in pairs and panned already. It sounds like anyway. And then we've got some chugs. We got 2 pair of those, so I'm going to put those in the same bus. Just grouping things together, making things a little bit easier for my brain. Guitar arrangement is really good. Right, he's got very percussive chugs happening here. That's the choo-choo train effect, right? Just kind of filling in all those subdivisions and keeping the pace kind of skipping along. And then we've got that coupled with some accented notes here. But because the choo-choo train here on the chugs is unbroken, there's like a really nice continuity, like pulling through that whole section while still allowing these guitars to have their accents and create more movement and interest here. And we're talking about principles that can be applied to any instruments across any genre, right? Any genre. Like, it doesn't have to be guitars. It's really about the movement and how you kind of put these pieces together. All right. And then I'm going to say this is probably a pre-chorus. Let's get that verse done first. What's this little nugget right here? I think that's my Google Calendar notification.
I was thinking it was The Edge. Came in the studio and laid down
Yeah.
things of audio.
Yeah, he's on a few of these. Not enough delay for the Edge though. That's all you can tell. Cool. And then we've got some really tasty pads. Just kind of gluing everything. Dude, those atmospheres, just everything, right? Great, good stuff. Then we got a kind of a lower one. Sweet. Let's get that lead vocal in.
To pretend that we will never go on happy. I wanted to try to pretend that we will never go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by road. Happy with our lives.
Tasty little. So cool.
Go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by road shows and those moments when things felt right.
And then we got a double here. We're moving on to the let's see if we missed anything in the verse. Nope, we're good. We're good. Looks like we got everything except for this arpeggio part here.
Happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by
So, didn't we listen to that? That's what we said was the Edge, didn't we?
Nope.
Ah, it's the second one. That's why. Looks like there's a pair. Makes sense. I think maybe one of those is the single coil, one of them's the humbucker. I'm gonna go ahead and group that together.
Suddenly I'm haunted by road shows and those moments when things felt.
Cool, man.
The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we will never go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by road shows and those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There
Oh yeah, we got work to do on those vocals.
is between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we will never go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by road shows and those moments.
Okay, and then we've got an arrangement change here, right? We're going into the pre-chorus. So there's going to be some new elements that kind of come into play. We've got this pad 2. You know, new pads, violin, some strings. Start bringing those in.
Haunted by road shows and those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could.
Right, to elevate the energy a little bit. Violin.
Haunted by road shows and those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried.
Amazing how that just blends right in.
Haunted by road shows and those moments when things. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried.
Cool. And then we hit the chorus. Let's listen to what we got so far. Make sure we didn't miss anything on the guitar side of things for that pre-chorus. Looks good. We do have another tambourine that comes in there.
Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried.
Amazing how much one instrument can elevate the energy like that, right? Just that tambourine, just filling out those tickly high frequencies, just completely excites that section in a way that nothing else had up to that point, right? Listen to this.
Haunted by roads chosen,
First without.
haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not.
Now with.
Haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried.
Right? Just a one instrument. That's well thought out arrangement.
Haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried.
Now let's smash that chorus, huh?
Wrong if I tried. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a type in manic, dealing with damage to my mind.
We'll bring in these doubles.
Panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a type in manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are shining. I'm leaving us behind.
Sweet. Oh, look at, I forgot this little nugget over here. Let's bring that in.
Felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a type in manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic.
Stuff.
Mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my
See what these leads are all about.
memories are tragic.
Yes.
Temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always. There's no need.
Hooks all over this thing, man. Really, really well done.
Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. Always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic.
Okay, cool.
Following the aftermath, take stock of me to see what's left. Suffice to say, my vitals have seen worse. And I knew I could handle. Following the aftermath, take stock of me to see what's left. Suffice to say, my vitals have.
So this is verse 2.
Following the aftermath, take stock of me to see what's left. Suffice to say, my vitals have seen worse. You're no bigger than I knew I could handle. The state of shambles I've outgrown. Could it be you're still afraid to admit maybe I'm better on my own? There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I knew I could handle the state of shambles with me. Maybe I'm better on my
Cool. Let's get this hi-hat building up here too.
I can handle gambles I've outgrown. Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic. You're still afraid to admit. Maybe I'm better on my own.
Okay, so this section here clearly
Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe I'm better.
is meant to be a hard stop.
Maybe I'm better.
Well, maybe there.
Better on my own. There's no need to panic. To admit, maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's manic. Dealing with damage to.
So somewhere we moved off the grid. Here. Probably here.
If I tried, there's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's manic. Dealing with
Or is it just the and? Just the and.
need to panic.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, so I was thinking this is meant to be a hard stop, right?
Maybe I'm better on my.
Let's make that a little bit more abrupt. I'm just gonna like take all of this, anything in here, you know, because there's like reverbs kind of there's reverbs kind of hanging over. So I'm just gonna go ahead. And you can either mute this stuff or delete the regions,
Maybe I'm better on my own.
right? A little bit more of a hard stop there.
Maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic.
Makes sense. And then we're gonna do this square build up lead. I'm gonna bust those together and then start bringing those in.
On my own. There's no need to panic.
So tasty.
There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's manic. Dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Temporary bliss. Especially when my head's
So let's get some of these other vocal effects in there.
own. Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe I'm better on my own. Could it be you're still own? Maybe I've outgrown. Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe own. Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe I'm better on my own. Could it be you're still afraid to admit? Maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic. I'm afraid to admit, maybe I'm better on.
What do these vocals sound like alone?
Maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving.
You like them with them in?
I'm still afraid to admit, maybe I'm better on my own. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's manic. Dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic.
Okay. Grab this in.
There's no need to panic. Following the aftermath.
Let's keep going.
Temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic.
There's a bridge. Or a burge, as we call it in the industry.
There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's out.
Such a great idea to have a drop chorus there.
There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's hypnotic. Damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Temporary bliss. Especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. There's no need to
Sweet.
Tristan just agreed in chat to share the multi-track. So if you guys want a shot at mixing this,
Ooh.
we'll post the multi-tracks that Jake got in there in school for you to download and follow along with this week as we go through this song.
Amazing.
Very, very kind of you, Tristan.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's super kind. Let's see. Cool. Everything is brought in. So at this point, let's catch a couple things that I missed.
panic. I'm leaving us behind. There's no need to panic.
Which is labeling this. The drop chorus.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's hypnotic. Dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Tragic.
Oh, that final chorus.
There's no need to panic.
I call this chorus out. Call this outro. Boop. Bounce. Cool.
Randy, if we get the unprocessed vocals, we'll include those. Yep.
Totes my goats.
Tristan, did you say you'd be able to send unprocessed, or do we not have those?
Yeah, any questions before we do another run through and just kind of listen through this to make any kind of final adjustments, guys?
Good question, Max. So as many of you know, the goal kind of at the end of this is to be around -6 dBFS on your master, your stereo out, right? That gives enough headroom for the mix, for the mastering phase. If you gain stage to between -10 and -20, what you'll find is that almost always by the end of everything else you do, you're going to be sitting right around that -6. But yeah, you're kind of watching for that. But if you set it up properly to begin with, that's kind of where you just end up naturally most of the time. And if not, you can always take the buses and just adjust everything down a little bit.
Scooch them. Scooch them down. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked at or thought about my master bus once during this whole process. Let's see where we're sitting. You know, why not?
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a top and dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are shining.
Actually, pretty close to
Yeah,
digital clip. You know what I mean?
however, tomorrow when he does dynamics processing on the kick and snare, that's going to pop right back down to around -6.
All
So
gonna go away. Yeah. Hoots my goots.
no, Raya, no mastering in your mix session.
Yep. So at this point, I'm thinking I want to take a listen through and just kind of see where we're sitting. See how the whole song kind of feels like all the way across the board. Take some notes about what I'm hearing, then go back in, maybe make some final volume adjustments. How do you guys feel about that?
I think you nailed the initial process. I think there's like one or two things I thought were a little hot, but that's about it.
Sweet.
A lot of the panning was baked in, so Jake didn't need to do much of the panning here. If you're working with dry stuff, then you'd have to do all that, but there may be some stereo stuff that he'll do, but not today.
And to be honest, I would have panned it the same way. I mean, he's got like these hard, hard panned guitars. This is pretty typical for like rock guitars, right? The wall of sound, right? Just double takes of guitars and then hard pan one to the left, hard pan the other one to the right. And you can see on the stereo tracks here that it's already got that baked in, right? This is the left channel, right channel, right? Left channel, right channel. I would have done the same exact thing. I just would have hard panned them. These here, there's a little bit of content on the left and rights. What effects, right?
So. Yeah, so after this run through and any last adjustments Jake does, I'm going to drop back into a little bit of a mastering presentation. We're going to start thinking about the mastering mindset. Obviously, in our main program, we teach in reverse, starting with mastering, because there's a lot of insight we can get from mastering. Obviously, I say obviously too much. We can't teach you all of mastering in 3 days. It does require a really accurate room and ears, and there's a lot of the process to be done. But there are some tools mastering engineers use and a mindset that we will show you that can help you have some guidance as you go through. Obviously.
Obviously, you say obviously too much.
Obviously, I do. Jeez. Such an NPC.
Good stuff. At what point in the process would you typically start panning? I'd do it in this part of the process. If I heard anything at this point, while I'm bringing in volume levels in, I'm actually also thinking about like where things are sitting in the stereo spectrum, but I'm not hearing anything that wasn't already baked into the tracks that I would actually adjust here. So I'm okay.
It's okay to mix some while you're producing. I've said this a couple times in chat. And the way that I teach my students is do whatever mixing comes really naturally to you. That's sound design. Don't do it so much that it becomes distracting. Don't chase stuff or rabbit hole down, because you got to stay in a creative mindset. So as long as the mixing you're doing is tone shaping and creative, go for it. And whatever comes naturally and fast to you, do it. Save the rest for later. Knowing where to stop that is part of compartmentalizing the process that will allow you to do your own stuff.
Did you do the limit normalizing? No limiting has been done. No, we did not do the normalized thing again.
No, you go back and watch that if you missed the normalizing part. Save you a ton of time. Thanks, A1. Volume automation we'll talk about probably on day 3. Depending
Yeah,
on-
I don't really do any kind of processing here. Somebody asked, can we use Clipper at the time of volume balancing to maintain the headroom and increase the loudness? No, I don't really think about that at this point, personally. But you can do whatever you want. You know,
No,
you do.
the
It's
key
very
really is if you're doing this right, and Jake's been doing this, take notes as you go through of the stuff you can't fix with volume. That's really powerful because then you stay in the volume mindset, right? We're just pushing ourselves to see how far we can take the mix with just volume. But then tomorrow or the next time you work on your session, you have a guide of all the stuff as you went through everything to where you should start fixing. You're not just opening up the session and throwing EQs and compressors on everything. You're just going, here's the problems that I heard. Let's address those first and see where we get to. Maybe it'll be enough and I don't need to do anymore. That's a great way to work with a lot more intention today and work with a lot more intention tomorrow.
That's right. Take notes. That's right.
Take little notes as you go.
Cool. Let's go through. Let's listen. Just making observations, taking notes on volume balance only. Here we go.
There's no need to panic. The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There's no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to following the aftermath, take stock of me to see what's left. Suffice to say, my vitals have seen worse. You're no bigger than I knew I could handle. The state of shambles I've outgrown. Could it be you're still afraid to admit maybe I'm better on my own? There's no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic.
Cool. I have a few notes there. Anything to add, Caleb?
That initial synth is a little pokey, and someone gave a good suggestion of maybe lessening it or taking it out in the first verse so the song has somewhere to go later with that synth. but
Which synth?
that main lead that's going on in the
This brass lead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
could be kind of cool to have that come in later and just build. But that's,
I a billion
Well,
percent agree.
in the intro it could be cool. I think it's fine in the intro. I would bring it down there, but in the first verse or the first chorus or something, maybe.
See, I was thinking intro, right? Because it's like the first sounds that we hear of the song, right? We're already processing internally as human beings everything that's going on, right? Like the first listen, it's what's the instrumentation, what's the genre, right? And I'm feeling kind of like I'm a little bit overloaded with that brass coming right in, right up front like that.
I think it competes a lot during a lot of the song, actually. If it was
Yeah.
me, I might talk to the artist about just
Pulling
getting
it.
rid of it all together. But
Yeah.
if we're going to have it, something like what we're talking about might work.
Yeah. Let's address that first, and then I'm going to hit some of these other points. So I'm thinking here, just to speak to like the first sounds that the listener hears, right? And now without.
Between us,
right? It just let's get in the groove. All right, this is the energy and this is the groove of the song without the confusion of having like a competing element right up front. It's just a little bit too much to listen to at the top of the song, right? So
Yeah,
at least like
such a buzzy bass, and it competes with guitars all the time and the vocal all the time. I just don't know how much it's needed. Obviously, the artist is the final say. It is a hook, but I'm not sure it's adding as much as could be there with a little more space.
I would have a conversation for sure. I would have a discussion with the artist, Tristan, and actually like point out that the whole texture is a hook. The whole texture of this section of the song is a hook, right?
Like a
Like that whole riff is a hook, and it repeats itself twice and then lends itself to the verse, right? Like it's so strong already without that lead line.
Yep.
the differences between us.
Now the piano's there, the bass part that's actually really cool becomes like the hook.
Yeah.
Boom. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It allows everything else to breathe. There's a lot of thought put into the parts. I think this was probably just like a little bit of a step into like confusion territory for me.
And it's your job as a mix engineer to honor the artist's intention, the emotional intent of the track, and then sometimes in the right moments save them from themselves a little bit, who that certainly have been listening to it too much, right? It's easy to wear too much makeup.
Sure. Let's get those guitars. There's a few things here. Brass lead. Okay, great. Vocals down or guitars up. Let's take a listen. Let's get the kick and snare down a little bit here too. This stuff's kind of a little bit too hot.
The differences between.
See, now that vocal comes in. Hot.
A little spicy.
Yeah, a little spicy. Little too much mustard on it.
differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on.
See, so we've got like a nice fat chunky kind of part here, and then we go down in volume.
The differences between us, I wanted to try.
Right. So maybe we can just pull down this clip.
The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those.
So right now I'm listening to how that transitions from the intro into the verse.
Even
Right.
even if he can't get us the dry vocals, there's still a little bit of automation we could demonstrate on day 3 here. A few words
sure.
getting lost here and there. So either way, Tristan.
The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with. The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives.
See if we need to bring in that double take.
The differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, no.
So I'm actually not going to use that one, that first double take. And then in the pre-chorus, a double take comes in. That'll kind of elevate the energy and thicken up the vocal.
Differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally, the differences between us, I wanted to try.
So I actually am going to do a move here. I'm going to do a little bit of automation. I'm going to take this kick down. Just in the verse. It's just like, right? it's Frankenstein knocking on the door. But it works in the full instrument sections, right? I think it's a really good level. It's a punchy level. It's a powerful level, right? So we're just going to bring it down a touch.
Between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There's no
Elevate that next part too. That's nice. Subtly, just kind of the energy picks up and it goes along with it.
Yeah,
Franken.
totally.
Yeah, good.
chosen, not chosen. Wrong if I tried.
And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split the difference just a touch, right? So we got that kick coming up in volume, right? It's going to reintroduce that low end a little bit more, but not quite as much as the smash that we get from the chorus and the intro sections here, right?
Between
Well, let's just take a listen through this.
the differences between us, I wanted to try to pretend that we were never and go on happy with our lives. Suddenly I'm haunted by roads chosen, those moments when things felt right. Finally I see that I could not have been more wrong if I tried. There's no need to panic, I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a hypnotic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic.
Cool. I'm happy with that.
There's no need to panic.
We're gonna do the same thing here for this. Probably going,
Idols have seen what
yeah, for this interlude here. Same spot. Put down about what, two and a half.
following the aftermath. Take stock of me to see what's left. Suffice to say, my vitals have seen worse. You're no bigger than I knew I could handle. The state of shambles I've outgrown. Could it be you're still afraid to admit maybe I'm better on my own? There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always.
Dude, those drums are like in the pocket now,
Yeah.
right? They're just like, they're right where they need to be.
Takes the shape you're in. There's no need to panic.
Dude, these things are gonna explode. I'm gonna blow these up tomorrow. These drums are they're just gonna smash, dude.
There's no need to panic.
And those toms, we're gonna turn those toms into bombs, baby. You just wait. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. All right. I'm happy with that. You know, I think I covered everything that was on my list. Balance, kick, and bass. All of this stuff kind of came a little bit more into focus after we just brought the kick and the snare down a little bit. Honestly, like after we did that, the low end seemed to balance out a little bit more. The snare kind of got tucked just a touch behind the vocal and allowed the vocal to kind of have a little bit more room to breathe and be more in the spotlight. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then I have this note about fattening up the toms. Yep, turn those toms.
Sounds like tomorrow there's a little space to clean up in the masking mid-range. There's some drum enhancements we can do. A couple things we could maybe smooth out a little bit.
Yeah, we are gonna smash this instrumental. We're gonna get this just like rocking, guys. Ah, I'm excited. Can you tell?
I can tell. Let's learn a little bit about mastering really quick.
If you say so. I'm in. What do you guys think? Learn a little bit about mastering?
We are mastering.com at the end of the day, aren't we?
That we are.
Great job. Just with volume. Hey, did we get it 80% of the way? Well, let's find out. We don't have to just guess. It's important that we be objective about this too. I mean, we've made some subjective choices, but there's objectivity that we need here, and that we need to find our objective anchors. We need to learn to think like a mastering engineer. I promise you, it's one of the most valuable things that you can learn. I've come to this conclusion after years and years and years of teaching students, and especially mastering engineers. There's something really valuable about understanding the end of the process. And especially as, you know, AI starts to do more mastering and stuff like that, I don't think it does a great job, but it'll continue to do better. But what about you? Whether an AI or not can master stuff is irrelevant to your understanding and knowledge of how sound works. And nothing will teach you about how sound works more than mastering, learning the technical part. of music. So for you, I still think it's valuable not just to slap Ozone on there, not just to run it through Lander or something like that. Let's understand the process and learn about ourselves and learn about what we've been doing all along. Again, we have this end in mind perspective that I talked about earlier that's so valuable. So how do mastering engineers think, those crazy gray-haired dudes? They get a vision of the end in mind. I talked earlier about how in training mastering engineers for a long time, their mixes got better, their productions got better, even the way they captured audio and the standard to which they started to think about the performance that was happening. All of that stuff started to increase because what you see when you master enough stuff is all the mistakes and all the good things people are doing in their mixes and productions. You get to see the stuff that makes mastering hard. When you bring that volume up to an industry standard, when you apply that limiting power, it exposes the track. Everything, all the mistakes and all the beautiful parts become louder and more apparent. And you get this keen insight into everything that could have been done better to then let you as a mastering engineer actually send this to the moon. The things that hold you back from it and the things that make it possible. It's so informative. It's incredible to have that perspective. You're thinking holistically. As a mastering engineer, you're not in there fine-tuning or tweaking, doing surgical moves. You're thinking about the entire process, the whole frequency spectrum, all the dynamics. How is it all coming together? It's all about your room, ears, and tools. That's the stuff we can't teach today is your room and ears. We can teach you a little bit about some tools. It's not about individual perspective. It's about a 30,000-foot view of the entire track. If you step back from it, is everything working? And what a lot of people don't realize is that we have these little analog boxes with speakers and cones. They are not a digital tool. They're an analog tool. And there's ways to make stuff that comes out of them sound great. And there are problems you can leave in a mix or a master that actually cause speakers to have problems and distort, and the cones to do things that are undesirable. And so we have to understand a little bit about that acoustic technology and what it takes for your stuff that's coming out of even cheaper speakers to sound as good as possible. And we work in broad brushstrokes. Again, no surgical moves. We're tweaking on a pretty large scale. The thing I want to talk about today, we're going to talk about a few different mastering tools over the next couple days. The one I want to talk to you about today is a frequency analyzer. This is something you can start using on your mixes right now. And especially if you don't have a great room and trained ears, and you haven't been doing this for a long time to hear it, this is an incredible tool to kind of circumvent some of the problems that can cause. So you don't have to do too many car tests or listen on your friends' speakers and all this kind of stuff. That's listening too much. You're losing objectivity. We need to stay in an objective mindset and anchor ourselves to these foundational tools. The first one, again, I want to talk to you about today is a frequency analyzer. The thing to know about frequency analyzers, it's telling you about your frequencies. And they all work a little bit differently. This one is called the Paz Analyzer. It's from Waves. It's about $30. This is the one we use in our program to teach students on. Has a couple settings that you need to know. Take a screenshot of that. LF res set to 10 hertz. Detect sent to RMS, and response somewhere around 3 to 400. And the thing you need to understand here is that the Paz is kind of supposed to look like, if things are balanced correctly, what's on the right there. It's not a flat line. Some frequency analyzers have a flat line. This one should peak around about 60 hertz, like it is, and gently slope off. We're not looking at all the little micro, right? This is a 30,000-foot view. We're not looking at the little micro bumps. We're looking at the big picture. Generally slope, like it is, down to whatever that last number is, 16K or so, 20K. Unlike the one on the left, which is sloping way too much, it's missing some mids, it's got plenty of bass, has almost no high end. That's what we're looking at here, right? We're starting at 60 hertz, all the way up to 16K. If you understand frequencies, you know, by looking at that, we're missing frequencies in the top end, probably in the mids too, and have plenty of bass. Now, what we can do and what we're about to do is pull in references. And what we can do with a reference, if a client will give you a reference, or if you have one for yourself, is that we can pull up this PAS analyzer and analyze the reference and see how close we are to the mark. It's going to give you insight into stuff you might not be hearing, or maybe you've lost some objectivity as you've been mixing, and it can pull you back to a foundational center, an anchored center of what balance should look like. Speakers love for your stuff to be balanced like what's on the right-hand side there. And it doesn't matter, this is the weird part, it doesn't matter which genre of music you listen to, they're all going to look about the same, like what's on the right-hand side. It's all going to look like this gentle slope because that is a balanced frequency spectrum. Doesn't matter what style it is. From country to EDM, they're all going to look about the same. The slope might be slightly different depending on the style and genre. But Jake's about to show you how you could totally use this in a mix to think more like a mastering engineer and to anchor yourself back to an objective standard. You should be using these. Go grab one. Let's see how well Jake did at creating that curve on this song. He's also going to be pulling in a reference, like I just said. There are referencing tools like this that can do what the PAS is doing. This one from Mastering the Mix, who's sponsored this, is showing you a comparison between your track and a reference track. That little line down below is comparing the differences. So too much high end, not enough low end in this case, in that photo. So there are tools like that, but if you just want to keep it really cheap and pull in a reference and then pull in the PAS, that's $30, put one on each channel, we're going to be able to see the differences there. And I think that's really valuable. It's so easy, again, to lose perspective, to lose objectivity, to have your ears start playing tricks on you. And especially if your room is out of whack, you've been hearing things wrong. No wonder things sound different in the car. No wonder they sound different when you show them to friends. This is a way you can circumvent all that. Really, really valuable. So let's send it back to Jake. He's going to show us exactly what that looks like, and we'll get to see how well Jake did at balancing things already.
Ooh. Tristan, do you have a reference you want to use for this track? You know, at first thought, you know, I have a few that I've just kind of like pulled in from my personal library, but at first thought, it's like, okay, this is something corporate or Jack's Mannequin. Not sure if you had something. If you had something in mind. Yeah, Band Camino. All Time Low. Yeah, be a good one. No specific songs or anything like that in mind by any chance. That's okay if not. We can just kind of like run through it.
Yeah, if you don't want to use PAS, just find one that you will like to use. And then the key is just listen to a bunch of music through it and just look. You'll see a similar pattern of how the curve should look on your particular analyzer that you're using.
Yeah, Dylan, I would want to use something a little bit newer than Hurricane. But for now, we're just gonna kind of see what the PAS analyzer is doing here on this track. I'm just gonna isolate a chorus, and then we'll just kind of observe and see what's going on the frequency analyzer.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling a tad bit manic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic, temporary bliss, especially when my headspace always takes the shape you're in.
What do we see here? Is it a perfect curve down yet? It's pretty good. Where are we seeing issues here? This would tell us what we already know because we just said it, but there are frequencies competing in the mid-range. You can see that there's kind of it should be sloping there, but it's bumping up. It's not sloping. It's pretty close, but you probably have quite a few little frequencies in there that are competing in the mids and the upper mids that we need to solve tomorrow. That's what it's telling you.
Right. We can hear it too. If we compare it against a few references. I'm just going to take a few songs here.
Yes, that's the masking issue. Exactly, Richie. Must be those 50,000 guitars.
60,000.
Oh, yeah.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's happening now. Look what you accomplished, yeah, man, look how far you've come. I've been crazy, that memories are tragic. Temporary bliss.
You can hear all that upper mid, right? Like it's clear when we A/B it with that track.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's happening. Watch me take the wheel like you, not feel like you. Temporary bliss.
Dialed into the genre.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's happening. Feeling it make new scars. We'll fly into the night like shooting stars. Temporary.
Right? Mid-range. Mids. It's upper mids, right? It's crazy.
I'm leaving us behind. I'm feeling it's happening. When it's always on my doubts, I will admit it's worth our tragic. Temporary bliss.
Specifically, what are we hearing? Specifically, right? Tell me, guys, where are we hearing the high mid build up? Guitars. Okay. Guitars. A lot of people saying guitars. Vocals. Somebody said what I was hearing. Yeah.
Yep.
Vocals. I'm hearing a lot of that upper mid range. That's the vocals. If I'm gonna scroll through these references again, you're gonna hear the lead vocal just poking you right in the forehead.
Also,
I'm leaving us behind. Wish I could forget it, but we'll regret it. Damage to my mind.
Right? Almost like a honky kind of thing, almost maybe like drilling in the back of your teeth.
I'm leaving.
yeah, you also notice that all of the references have a little more body to the low end. So that's something we're going to have to account for at some point too.
Nights I felt like this. Wish I could forget it, but we'll regret it. Damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Temporary blaming us. We were the kids of the summer. Shape yarn. There's no need to panic. So I'm sorry for this. It might sting. I'm medicine, 'cause I'm sick to panic, dealing with damage to my mind. Memories are tragic. Act like nothing's real. I'm leaving us behind, 'cause now they send in friend requests and pages like panic, dealing with damage to my mind.
Yeah, you're just looking for a reference that's in the same ballpark. It's going to have different parts and different instruments even. It's not about that. It's about general frequency range and balance. And again, most songs will have that. If you can get it in a somewhat similar genre, then it'll be pretty great. I'd love to put Paz on one of those references and just compare that too. We can kind of see back and forth what that looks like.
Let's do it.
People don't.
I'm leaving us behind. Now they send in friend requests and pages I don't write. Look what you accomplished, yeah, man, look how far you've come. I've been crazy that you waited until 2021. Maybe they'll should have thought.
There's a vocal hitting those notes. Right? But we also see, what do we see? Beefier low end, right?
Yep.
Beefier low end and then sloping here.
More slope. Other than that, vocal resonance. That's what that thing is in the middle.
Yeah.
You can see a lot with this PAS analyzer. You would be able to see vocal sibilance problems, masking problems in the mid-range, low-end problems, sub-frequencies that you're not hearing. You'd see all this visually, and it's not a bad thing to start connecting your ears and your eyes. Of course, we have to use our ears at the end of the day, and the PAS isn't the end of the road, but can it help us get to a more objective standard and anchor? Of course. And especially as you're learning, important to connect your ears and your eyes. It's how you train yourself. We're very visual people. And sometimes we don't hear frequencies the way we should yet. That takes a ton of time. And I still even use the PAS. I don't use it to begin with, but I'll check every time just in case I'm wearing a beanie that day and I'm not hearing things correctly, out of the speakers. And I forgot about that. You never know. It's always worth coming back to an objective standard. It's very valuable. And you can do this now, even with an imperfect room. Once again, circumvent some of those car tests you have to do. So valuable to do that.
Goats my goats.
So what do you think you're going to work on tomorrow then to fix some of those problems you were just seeing?
Whew, vocals. No, I can't touch vocals quite yet. That's a day 3 thing. That's where in my opinion, that's where most of the issues are though, right? All that build up, all that upper mid-range build up. And, we've got some work to do on those vocals for sure. But in terms of the other instrumentation, these are pretty, if we just take the vocals out of the game, right? Check it out. And we just listen to the instrumentation. I'm going to take the vocal effects off there too. All right, let's take a listen. I'm still on my reference. Carving out the space on that instrumentation so that the vocal has, a nice little pocket to kind of like sit in there, right? But even now, when we take a look at this and we've removed the vocal, we're starting to see that slope happening, right? Starting to see it going on. I want to fill out this area here, right? Which either means pumping up the bass a little bit, taking a look at the guitars, the low mid information on the guitars is probably good where it is. Maybe scooping out some of the upper mid info on the guitars up here and allowing them to just be present kind of over here, in this section of the frequency spectrum.
Yep. Because those frequencies between 2 and 5K are presence frequencies. So if you're going to have anything sitting in that range, make it the vocal. As long as the vocal is supposed to be the most present thing, that's kind of what we're doing there. So
yeah, and I've been noticing a lot of like resonance and stuff like that in the 1K region, 800 to 1K region here too. So that's all the way down from 800 and then all the way up to 6, like you said, 5 or 6. That's going to be where we kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting tomorrow for sure.
But one's in chat if you think did we get close to 80% of the way there just with volume? That was sounding pretty good compared to the references. There's a little polish certainly that we could have. That's what we'll do over the next 2 days. It's not that 20% is important. It's actually incredibly important and probably a lot harder. But this is about mindset. Focus on how much you can do with your most powerful tool, which is volume. Then let's worry about the other stuff later. And again, work with more intention during this process to work with volume, and then making notes for ourselves, our future selves, being kind to our future self. What stuff couldn't I fix with volume? I'm going to start there later and not just start throwing EQs and compressors and plugins on everything thinking I need to. I'm going to solve the problems I actually hear and then go from there. Trust that process. It'll speed you up and it'll give you a lot more objectivity. It's your turn now, though. Action items between now and tomorrow. I guess if you're working on your own project, save it an alternate version. Let's start over. Let's go through this process the way that we've talked about it here. Save an alternate version, start over, gain stage to between -10, -20. Put your volume down at negative infinity, remove all the processing and plugins, prep edit, and just volume balance your session. Volume and panning only, no plugins allowed for this first step. If you're working on Tristan's multi-tracks, we'll have those available in school shortly. You can download those, but it's the same process. Normalize, get all your gains staged to the right level, bring all your faders down to negative infinity, not your buses, but everything else. Have everything organized, and then start bringing them in and build them. Just do the best you can. Just have fun with it. Experience it. Be fearless. Don't be intimidated by the process. Just go for it. And then if you'd like to, share your volume only mix in school. Just see how far you can push it. Compare it to other people and continue to learn and grow. All right, that's it for today. Hope you had a fun session. It's been fun being here with you. We'll see you back here at the same time tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. We get down into the nitty-gritty, the fine details, and that's always really fun to go through. Thanks for being here. Have a great evening. Be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Later.